So in this video, I'm redoing a video I've done in the past earlier on how to make an herbal healing salve out of yarrow and plantain, considered weeds. They're very, very useful and beneficial medicinal plants. Yarrow is very powerful for stopping blood. Its Latin name is Achillea millefolium, basically named after the Greek hero Achilles. Shout out to Brad Pitt. If you know, you know. And then plantain, which is a broadleaf plantain, which is a common quote-unquote weed that people that have to have nice manicured lawns can't stand. But that plant is very edible. It's hard to misidentify. It has utilitarian uses as well. But medicinally, it works like a charm for easing mosquito bites and bee stings. In fact, that was my first encounter with plantain. I'd never, all my years of running around in the woods, and not until I was in my 30s, late 30s, outside tanning hides, that I get needled on a yellow jacket. And right away I grabbed some plantain that was growing in the yard and made a split poultice, which is basically I just chewed it up and put it immediately on my sting, and the pain went away like that. So that was how I got really hooked onto medicinal plants, because I know they work. I'm adding citronella to this as well. Citronella essential oil, which has herbal and medicinal properties, is also an insect repellent. So when you use this or put this on, it will keep bugs away from you, right? Especially if you're out hanging out in the woods or whatever. This is just a multi-use salve. Apparently, my understanding is that yarrow has a very high SPF for a sunscreen. I've always used it with my daughter, who has very, very light skin. Whenever we go out in the woods or go outside, she's never had a sunburn, as far as I know, with me using it. We call it the medicine around my household, and so for bug bites and minor wounds, cuts, scrapes, things like that, you just put that on. Again, if you have a major laceration, or if you have a major contusion or something like that going on, or a chronic rash, so go see a medical professional. But for little, just light, minor things, this I swear by this. It's really good. So I'm redoing this recipe. I'm using a 1:4 ratio. It requires your infused oils, your herbal infused oils, and we'll have to revisit a video on that. And 4 parts of your, 1 part of your beeswax and 4 parts of your herbal infused oils. Okay, so that's the ratio for this recipe, thus the redo. All right, plus we're adding an essential oil, citronella. Most citrus essential oils are will deter bugs, okay, mosquitoes and whatnot, like lime, grapefruit, orange, so on and so forth. There are also other herbal essential oils, I cannot speak, I guess I'm really tired, sorry. Other essential oils that can be used to deter bugs, both for gardening and for self-protection. I'll do some more research into that as to exactly which kind to use. I usually really just rely on the yarrow and the salve if I don't have any essential oil to add to this ointment. And they just really don't bug me like that. But there's kind of a little thing behind that I'll get into maybe later. Next spring, next summer, we'll explore that. So, off we go. Alright, so I've kind of got a double boiler situation here with just a pot with some water and a bowl, a metal bowl here. And, please excuse my voice. And we're gonna do a 1:4 ratio of beeswax, 1 cup of beeswax, and it will be 4 cups of the infused oil. I'm using olive oil infused with plantain and olive oil infused with yarrow. You can use safflower oil, sunflower oil, coconut oil, different types of oils. So you can use pretty much whatever. Olive oil seems to be relatively cheap and abundant, so that's what I'm going to use. So I've got this kind of broken up. I was able to take the beeswax here and freeze them a little while so that they became brittle, and I was able to break them up so it's easier to measure out. So here I'm just going to pour this in here quickly. And then what we want is we want this on low heat to, because we don't want to cook the or burn the oil, the beeswax. Okay, this is natural beeswax. So we're just going to be patient and wait for this to melt down, and then we'll add our infused oils. Alright, so we're almost there. We're going to let the beeswax finish melting down, and then we'll add our herbal-infused oils. So it looks like we got this melted down pretty good. I'm gonna control the heat a little bit. Get ready to add our essential oils, or excuse me, our infused oils. Essential oils will be added later. Okay, so I have my plantain infused oil here, and I have my yarrow infused oil here. So I'm just going to use the same cup measurement. I'm going to put 2 cups of the yarrow infused oil. This is 1. It's a little cooler, so it's going to coagulate. We'll continue to stir this up. And then 2. And I think that's all she wrote for this batch. So that was right on the money, which is good. So that was the yarrow, or excuse me, that was the plantain, excuse me. Doesn't matter which one you add, You can even blend them at this point, doesn't matter, just as long as it's 4 cups to the 1 cup of beeswax that we added. This is 1 cup of the yarrow oil this time, before it was plantain. And then I think we're going to use all of our yarrow oil until next year. We'll make some more to see what the herbal reserves are that we have. Probably could make some over the winter. Probably redo another video on how to do infused oils, herbal infused oils. And that's that. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Okay, now I've lowered the heat. And what I want to do is I want to kind of make sure this blends and melts gently together. So it'll take some time. It looks icky, but it'll melt down together nicely. It'll be very nice. So it's gradually melting down or remelting down. This will be ready for transfer in just a second. We have to be careful with it. In retrospect, what I should have done was done this in a tempered glass that has a spout, or at least a handle. But you're learning from my mistakes, so if you have like a cool either spouted can or something with a handle and a spout, it'll make it easier and safer to pour. I could have done this in like my large 4-cup Pyrex measuring cup that holds 4 cups. It should be about 3 cups. So I'm going to reduce the heat so that the water doesn't get into our mixture. And so there it is. So just stir up the rest of this, and then I'm going to carefully transfer this. That's about ready. I'm going to reduce the heat. Okay, so before I do this transfer, I'm going to add an essential oil. You don't have to do this, this is optional, but I want this salve to also be a bit of an insect repellent. Yarrow is an insect repellent in and of itself. It helps a little bit, but I'm going to add some Citronella essential oil. Lots of citrus essential oils bugs don't like. That citrus would be lime, lemon, orange essential oils and such. There's many other essential oils you can use as well. This also has healing properties for the skin as well, which is why I'm making kind of this medicinal salve to begin with. So I'm at about, I don't know, maybe 30 drops, 30 to 40 drops of essential oil here. Okay, so that's about that. I can always add more later. And then I'm going to stir this up a little bit. Okay, that should be it. And then I'm going to take this here and just stir this up a little bit. Adds a nice aroma to it. Gives a nice little scent. Okay. Now first off, what I'm going to do is I have some tins with my nifty little logo on here. And then instructions on the back. I may go through that on my other channel, how to do this sort of thing. It's real easy, just templates and knowing a little graphic design. Anyways, I'm going to set this here, probably put some toweling underneath. Set this here, you may not be able to see it, let me make it so you can see it. Yeah, right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is completely dry, because it has a spout, that's why I'm using it. And the metal on this will be hot. And this will immediately start to cool, as you can probably see. I want to be careful. And carefully just kind of pour this in. And generally what you'll want to do is you'll want to sterilize your containers as well. So I'm going to set this aside and let it cool for later. That's hot, so be careful. In the meantime, I've got a main container here that I'm going to just store this in, and I can always take this larger container that I've sterilized here, and I'm going to just pour the majority of this in here, and that way I can just put this in the microwave and melt it down when I need to disperse this into other containers. That's one. Then I have some smaller containers here. Could have been a bit more organized than this, but just been so busy the past couple of days. Just hadn't had time to really sit down and do things properly. But I just wanted to kind of redo this and touch on, learn some new things about sterilization for your herbals. And the 1:4 ratio should give us the proper consistency for spreading, on your skin. And this is for minor cuts and wounds and things like that. Irritations, rashes, bug bites, especially cuts. Again, sunscreen, because Yarrow has some SPF properties. I'll put more information on that below. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute the rest of this into the containers here carefully and safely without me talking too much. And then this actually cleans up pretty good in hot water. You can kind of see that this is kind of dried on here. And that's fine. This cleans up pretty well in hot water. So, especially while it's wet. Doesn't really clog up anything. Okay, so for future reference, this is the correct configuration that you want to have. I have a single burner electric little eye here that makes it quite convenient. I don't get a messy stove. Of course you can do this over the stove, but if things go awry, then you don't create a waxy, oily mess. It's just relegated to this unit. Then I have a deep enough pot with water. Yeah, the water, I don't know how much water I've got in here. According to the outside here, I have like 1 cup, and that's just being displaced by this 4-cup Pyrex brand measuring cup. So 4 cups for the amount that we just made of the salve. So it's 1 to 4 ratio for proper consistency. That would be 1 cup of beeswax, and then 4 cups or 4 cups of your infused herbal-infused oil. So I use 2 different ones: plantain, Plantago species, Plantago lanceolata, Plantago major, and I used Yarrow infused olive oil, and both of them are infused in olive oil, and that's Yarrow. That's Achillea millefolium, as a Latin term. So 2 cups of those, so that was 4 cups of herbal infused oil to 1 cup of beeswax. And a configuration like this would be much safer. Okay, so I've got a handle and I've got a spout, less mess. Okay, so the way I had it before, I just want to let you know that this is a configuration you probably want to have. Okay, so this is what we created. And right now, you just once you have safely transferred your ointment or your salve to sterilized containers, just let them sit, and they will harden. We used that ratio before so that we could so it would be easy to apply. Okay, it's not too hard. Yeah, so this is pretty good to apply, right? This is not fully melted, but fully hardened, but you can just apply that. It's real good. Rub it in. It's good lubrication. And since we added the Citronella essential oil, this would be something that would keep the bugs away for a while. Okay, not too long. Again, I don't really like using DEET, although it is it does work, but it's not very safe. I really like to go the natural route. Thus the moniker, the Aboriginal. But nonetheless, this actually really works very well, both for healing wounds and bug bites and minor irritations and cuts and lacerations and things like that. So I'll make sure I provide a link to articles that I've written about this salve some years ago. And I just redid the video just to kind of update it a little bit, and to give a different kind of recipe and add an essential oil to it. Okay, so something I forgot to mention here. Let's see here. So I've made large batches here, okay, and this is for later usage, for distribution, right? So I will cover these in these mason jars here. I'll cover these up until I'm ready to use them. When I want to use them again and put them in smaller containers like these here, is I'll take the metal lids off, especially the smaller ones, and I can just put them in the microwave with paper towels underneath them at 30 seconds a pop, just to monitor it and let it melt down slowly, gradually, so you don't burn it or it overflows and makes a mess in your microwave. Or you can do the double boiling method. That's why this big one right here is, I can put this in a little pot of water and up to about right here or so, and just let it slowly melt like we did with the beeswax until this melts down to where I can distribute it into more travel size containers. Okay, so I have here these screw top metal tin containers. This is a 1 ounce, and I believe this is a 2 ounces right here. And I got these online, I believe from Amazon. I'll try to track down the link and provide the link below where you can get these. You can just really look for that. I just gave you actually what is called a screw top tin, as in TIN, the metal tin containers. And they're relatively cheap. You buy them in bulk, you know, for distribution. And then if you want to pretty it up, you know, always me, you know, always, I'm a big labeler. You got to label, so you know what it is. I've thrown out plenty of stuff that I'm like, I know that was valuable, I just didn't label it. I don't know what it is, I'm not going to use it, so I throw it out. So always label and date. But in this case here, I've got my little logo here, created in Illustrator and Photoshop. And you can go to the Avery website and you can get these Avery 60 round labels, and I think the number is 22817. This is not a sponsor. I'm just saying where you can get the materials to do your own thing if you choose to do it. I've got my little logo up top, and then I've got the instructions on the bottom, you know, a disclaimer and what what's in it as well. Okay, so just a little tidbits. Again, this is Citronella infused. On these labels, I have to update that to make sure Citronella is mentioned on there, so that people, if I give this to someone, give this to somebody, something like that, they know that there's Citronella in it in case they have an allergic reaction to it. I'll probably just put a little red dot on these because I do have a batch that has no essential oils in it. It is just Yarrow Plantain and Beeswax, Yarrow oil, Yarrow Plantain, and Beeswax. And then I have this mix that we just did, which is Yarrow oil, plantain oil, and beeswax with an essential oil. Okay, so just some things I wanted to mention in closing to make sure you have all the information you need, and I'll try and provide the proper links below. I hope this was helpful.